Welcome to 100 Days of Python, the Python Code Along Challenge. I'm Bill Mosley, and if you want to find the entire listing of the 100 Days of Python, you can find it at my website, www.bmosley.com/hdp. Let's get started. Okay, so here we are on day 50. We're picking up where we left off for day 49, which is with the fractal tree design. And so this is what we have currently developed, which draws a somewhat random fractal tree. And so there's one more thing I want to do with this, and that is I want to increase the probability that the splits at the lower levels of the tree will have a greater number of branches, whereas the splits at the higher levels of the tree or the higher levels of the recursion will have fewer branches. So we're going to do that, and that allows us to maintain some level of randomization, but with a little bit more control so that these upper branches aren't splitting 5 and 6 times. So what we're going to do here is we're going to come down to this spot where we are randomly choosing the number of branches, and we are going to reduce this range based on the level. Okay, so what we're going to say is we're going to say if int level is greater than 5, then we are going to copy and paste that, and we're going to restrict the range to just either 2 or 3 branches. And the else here will be anything less than 5, and that is going to be 8 minus int level. So that might still give us a number that's too high, because we technically could get 7 branches at the bottom of the tree, which is quite a few. We may want to drop that one here, but let's give it a shot and see what it looks like. Okay, so that is pretty much doing what I wanted, but you can still see up here we've got a lot of branches here at the second and third levels. So I think I'm going to go ahead and drop that a little bit more, and I'm going to drop this to 4, and I'm going to drop this to 6, and then we have a maximum of 5 splits in the tree. So let's take a look at how that looks. So that's looking a lot more orderly than before. Let's run it one more time to see how that looks as it generates a random tree. Okay, so I think that's kind of where we want to be as far as balance goes. So that is so far so good. The other thing I want to do to provide a little bit more interest to how this tree looks is I want to add a function that will draw some leaves on the tree, and I'm going to have it do some randomization there as well. So let's create another function here, and I'm going to call it draw leaf. So I'm going to define draw leaf, and that will take a parameter of int size. And so we are going to start out by providing a list of colors, and these colors are the named versions of the colors. I could use hex codes or other things, but this is an easy way to do it. And obviously, the more colors I provide here, the more variety I'm going to get in my picture. So I'll give it a few more here. And if you Google Python color names, you can get the entire list of these. and it's pretty easy to decide which ones you want. I just picked some that I thought would make good leaf colors. There we go. Okay, so next we're going to use, we're going to switch the color of the pen to a random choice from that list. So we're going to say color random.choice, and we'll pass it the list of colors as the parameter. That'll set the pen color to one of those colors at random. And then we want to also provide a little bit of variation in the size. So we're going to say int size plus equals, and we're going to choose a random integer dot rand int, and we're going to provide a range based on the size given. So int size times 0.9, and the upper limit is going to be int size times 1.1. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is begin fill, and that provides the marker for beginning to fill the shape. And next we're going to draw the shape. So the shape itself is going to be two semicircles that are connected by an angle. So I'm going to say circle int size for the size, and the extent is going to be 120 degrees. And next we'll go left, and we're going to go left 60 degrees, and then we draw another circle that is int size and 120 degrees for the extent. And then of course we call end fill, and that is the drawing of a single leaf. And then of course the next thing I want to do is I want to draw the leaf groups in bunches. So I'm going to create another function called draw bunch, and we'll pass that int size as well. First thing I want to do is get the heading of the turtle when it starts this, and you'll see why in just a minute. And then we're going to say for x in range, and I'm going to choose between 3 and 5. So random dot randint 3, 5, and that provides a random number or a range for those random numbers between 3 and 5. And so we will go right random dot randint. The more random functions I insert here, the more natural things will look when we draw this. So the next thing we want to do is we want to draw the leaf, and we'll say int size. That gets passed straight through. And then the last thing we want to do is, after we draw the leaves, we want to set heading back to int heading, and that makes sure that the mouse or the turtle can gracefully back down. So now what I want to do is, for each branch, I want to draw a bunch of leaves. So what we're going to do is we want to only draw those leaves if we are on the final level. So that would be only here if this is false. So we'll go else, and then we're going to draw bunch, and we'll say int size. Let's go ahead and start with 20 and see what that does. So let's give this a shot and see what it does. Okay, so those are a little bit big for this tree, and so we want to decrease the size on those by maybe half, but you also notice that the trunk retains the last color of the leaf that was drawn. So those are a couple things we want to fix. And so first thing, let's cut that down by half, and let's also make sure that our color is set to something useful. So we want to make sure that we get a nice brown color in there. And so we will try sienna. And we want to make sure that we are right here, setting the color. And I want to make sure also that I'm setting the color here. And that should make sure that we're having consistent color throughout. Let's give it a run and see how it goes. Okay, so there is a fairly interesting looking, more natural looking tree than we had at the beginning. And you can see every time we run this, it's going to give us a different configuration of branches and things. So that makes it visually interesting, but also mathematically interesting. So let's go and let this one run out, and then we will call it for the day. Thank you so much for watching this video and coding along with me. Once again, if you want to access the entire listing of 100 Days of Python, you can do it at my website, www.bmosley.com/HDP. You can also access my book, Introduction to Python Programming for Absolute Beginners, at my website, www.bmosley.com/book. Thanks again, and we'll see you around.